This is my life. This is my passion. This is Ike's Outdoors.
Hey guys, Ike here from IkesOutdoors.com. Here with me today is my wife Lindsay, and this is the first in the video series we're going to title Project Lindsay. And what this is going to be is specifically for you first-time hunters, because Lindsay is a first-time hunter this year. So Lindsay has the benefit of having me, a guy who's hunted for 20 years, worked in archery shops, and has a wealth of experience behind me out in the field to get her started, where a lot of you guys are not going to have that. So, and trust me, I'm not an expert by any means. I still learn a new lesson every year. But what we can do is I can pass the lessons I've learned, the simple little things that are going to make a big difference, on to Lindsay without her learning them the hard way like I did. So, what we're going to do is in this first video is we're going to look at Lindsay's setup. And then as we progress in this series, we're going to get her out in the woods, and we're going to get her in the tree stands, talk to her about tree stand safety, shot placement, and everything like that. So as we go on in this series, we'll get a little bit more in depth. But today we're just going to be looking at her series, or at her setup. So Lindsay's got a Bowtech Assassin here, and we went with the Assassin really because it was one of the fastest women's bows on the market. And for Lindsay, Lindsay's only shooting 35 pounds. And the important thing about your draw weight is, in your state, make sure you're able to shoot a poundage that's legal. Missouri, there's no poundage specifications, but in some states there are. So Lindsay's shooting a Bowtech Assassin, and we really went through it with her, and she's owned several bows, and we really went through this one and set it up specifically for her the way she likes it. And that's important for you guys who are bow hunting, is you got to be comfortable with your bow. Don't just go out and buy a bow and head to the woods. You have to be comfortable with your bow. So if you want to tell us, Lindsay, what you've got on here as far as equipment and why you picked it, then that'll kind of help out a little bit too, because I didn't have a lot to do with the equipment that she chose other than the rest. So other stuff she chose herself. So if you want to tell us about the equipment that you got on here now, you can go ahead and do that.
Sure. This is the Bowtech Assassin SD. I went with the short draw model just because I'm a short draw archer, so it's really kind of more set to my specifications on that.
Your draw length's, what, 25 inches?
25 inches.
So make sure to get a bow that's in your draw length, especially ladies and kids.
Right. The sight I've got on here is an extreme archery sight. The reason I like it is because it's a tools-free, very easy to adjust sight. And I'm using an Octane Hostage full containment rest. And
now the reason I chose that for Lindsay, we used a ripcord as well, but I stole the ripcord off of her bow. But we went back to the Octane because, one, it's what Lindsay's comfortable with. She wanted a full capture rest that gave her confidence. We actually tried a different fall-away rest when I took the ripcord back, and her shooting went straight downhill. And it's because she didn't have no confidence in it. So we switched to a full capture rest specifically for her, so she wouldn't have to worry about it, the arrow falling off. And I recommend that especially for kids. Especially for kids. I cannot emphasize that enough, is to have a full capture rest, because kids they're kids, and they're going to do stupid stuff with that bow, and if you can get it to where that arrow is not going to fall off that rest, the likelihood of them shooting themselves in the arm or in the hand, or if that arrow, when they shoot and that arrow comes off the rest, it can do some crazy stuff. So I like the full capture rest for safety for beginning archers. So tell us about your stabilizer.
This is a Stokerized stabilizer. I liked it because of the weight. I liked having a little weight on the end. I really like a lightweight stabilizer. I don't like a really heavy stabilizer. So I looked at a couple different ones, but I really liked the Stokerized stabilizer, and I like that you can customize it a little bit. I'm just, typical woman, gotta have something a little customized. So
I had to drive like 45 minutes to get it.
Yeah. So another thing I didn't mention on the site is I like the small housing on this site.
That's a very small housing. I hated it.
He doesn't like the small housing, so I snatched this rest up because I don't mind it so much.
One of the reasons too why we really liked it for her is because it got a light on it and it's really bright.
It's very bright.
You want to have a really bright pin for your first time archer, because I know when to not shoot. I know when it's too dark, and I learned that lesson from shooting when it's too dark. And I've hit a few animals that hitting that late at night, but you don't know where you hit them, and it really can mess things up if you don't know where you hit them. You don't know where, do I need to get on track in it right now? Do I need to get, do I need to wait? And now I can get down and I can look at the blood and tell you, okay, that's lung blood, that's gut shot, or whatever. But her, if she's by herself, she's not going to have that. So with the sight pin on there being bright, maybe she'll have a better idea of shot placement, be able to pull off a better shot when it's too dark for her to be shooting. So there's going to be errors made, and I'm trying to set her up to make those errors as small as possible. So that's basically her setup and why we went with the things we did. Another thing, you'll see me shoot without a sling. I just don't use one.
I like the comfort of it.
It's a comfort, and it goes back to a confidence factor. So as far as the bow now, I'm going to take over the bow here and talk about the specs on this bow. Like I said, we went with the Assassin because it's available in a short draw. This is basically a same version of the Heartbreaker, and Lindsay just ended up going with the Assassin short draw over the Heartbreaker, which I don't know why, but that's what she chose, because they're pretty much the same bow. But it's got good cam on it, it's got good speed on it, and everything like that. But she's still only shooting 35 pounds. So what we've got to do, it makes it really tough when you're shooting 35 pounds, because you really got to tune these things really well to get them to the efficiency, the maximum efficiency that they have, or that you can get out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you in this video. We're going to take this bow and I'm really going to go through it and tune it, like even more extensively than what I do one of my bows, because on that rating I can get my bow in from average to good. I can get it in there in that good range pretty easily. I want hers up in the excellent range to get as much kinetic energy and as much power and efficiency out of this bow as possible. So if you're shooting a low poundage bow, really work on getting that thing tuned, and we're going to show you that, or how we're going to do that on the way. But another thing we're going to talk about here is her arrow. Lindsay's shooting a 25 inch arrow. I'm not sure how long this thing is. So the problem with that is, in all these charts out there, you're going to see, Easton charts and gold tip charts and stuff like that. I just got to the point where I don't hardly go by them anymore, because I'm not having good success using the arrows that they recommend. So with this one, if she goes by what they recommend, she'd be shooting a 600 spine or a 1717 arrow or 1616 or something like that, which is really hard to find. And I don't think a 600 spine arrow would tune well out of her bow. I think it would be underspined for these cams. So what we've done is we went up a step and we went to a 500 spine arrow. So we're a little bit stiff. We're a little bit stiff on that, on these short arrows. But what we're doing is I'm going to use a specific type of broadhead for her. I'm going to use one, a cut-on contact head, and two, 125 grain head. This is a Razor Hawk from Red Feather Archery, and it's a 125 grain head to, one, improve her FOC, which is forward of center, so it gets more weight out in the front of her arrow. It's going to put her about the 11 to 12%, which is pretty important because it's really going to affect the way her arrow flies, and we want it to fly as good as possible for maximum efficiency. The other thing about this head is cut-on contact head takes less energy to penetrate. You get a head that's got, which I don't have one because I don't shoot anything that's not a cut-on contact head. But I got one over here, I'm sure, in this box of junk. But you get a head like the Muzzy that I've got here, and this is not a cut-on contact head. What this actually does is pushes the skin in. When the skin gets so tight and tension, and it'll force its way through. It's going to produce a great hole and going to produce a big hole. But it's going to take a lot of energy away from your bow, which is fine if you're shooting 55, 60 pounds. But since she's shooting 30 pounds, 35 pounds, I want something that's just going to slide in like a knife and slide right in there and do as much damage as possible and get as deep as possible. So we went with cut-on contact head. So, and that's the reason why you see a lot of guys shooting recurve, shooting cut-on contact head. Very easy to penetrate, very easy to do a lot of damage. So we went with 125 grain to get her arrow to flex right, to go with the FOC, to get her FOC or forward of center right, and we went to cut on contact to get her the maximum amount of penetration possible with this arrow and with her weight. So that's basically it on her setup, and what we're going to do now is we're going to get out and we're actually going to start tuning this bow and getting Lindsay ready to set up. All right, so what made you decide you wanted to go hunt?
We went 3D shooting this spring, and had a really good time doing that. Got really fired up about that.
This one's old enough to actually,
yeah,
one, get out in the wood with us, and two, be away from mom for an evening. So.
Yeah, and I actually hunted 5 years ago with you during rifle season.
That's right. Lindsay's taking a doe with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So she shot that thing right in the neck and put it right down. So I was very, very impressed with that.
Yeah, and I loved it. But him being born and being so young, I didn't get enough opportunities to really go out in the woods and have a hunting season. So now that he's a little older, and I'm shooting a bow again, I really thought that it would be challenging and fun to try to hunt again, especially the bow. I've never done that. So 3D shooting has really helped me prep, and
sharp.
And the techno hunt that we've been doing has kind of helped me prep. So I feel a lot more confident that I can get in front of an animal and get the job done. So
just to recap this video, let me put you down here, buddy. Just to recap this video, you really want to make sure you're shooting a very well-tuned bow. You want to make sure you're shooting. If you're shooting low poundage, I don't recommend an expandable. Weight robs too much energy from your arrow, even if they're designed for low weight. You want to shoot a cut-on contact head. I recommend a cut-on contact head. Also, I suggest you shooting the proper arrow is going to help as well, but if you cannot get the proper arrow, there are definitely ways of making even a too stiff arrow work. And I like going with the bigger head because, one, it also gives you the better FOC, but it also gives you the larger cutting diameter, which ain't much, but it's going to help out a little bit. So, select the right bow, select the right tuning, select the right arrow, and get those three things set up properly for you. Check your regulations on your draw weight. That's the main thing, is you want to make sure you're legal. Okay, so this wraps up this video. In the video series that we've got coming up in the future, we're going to talk about tuning. We're going to take this bow and we're actually going to tune it, show you guys exactly what you need to do to get it performing efficiently. We're going to talk about shot placement for Lindsay, because Lindsay's shot placement is going to be very, very different and very vital compared to what mine is. I can take my 70-pound bow and I can shoot pretty much where I want to up here and pretty much at almost any angle and get it killed. She's not going to be able to do that. So we're going to talk about shot placement. We're also going to talk about a practice routine that's going to help you, one, figure out your range out in the field, and we're going to show you how to improve that range. So, I mean, her effective range is out to 30 yards, but we're going to try to practice further than that to make sure at 30 she's dead on and ready for a kill. We're also going to get out and talk about some tree stand safety, because she's never been in a tree stand before. We're going to talk about shooting out of a ground blind, because she's never done that before. And when we do the tree stand, we're going to talk about the little things that I've learned from hunting in a tree stand for 20 plus years on where you put your bag, where you put your bow hanger, how you set your stand up, how to set in the stand, and how to shoot. One, if you're going to shoot set down, you got to practice it. If you're going to shoot standing up, you got to be ready for that. And kind of run through the equipment that she needs, which isn't very much, because she's going to be hunting with me, and I've got 40 pounds of gear on me most of the time. So, this is the first video in our Project Lindsay series. Keep tuned for the videos to come, which we're going to try to bang out as many as we can before season starts, which is in less than a month for me. So we'll try to bang these out as quick as we can and help you guys get ready for season. For more how-to videos, for more Project Lindsay videos, product reviews, be sure to check out our website, ikesoutdoors.com. Appreciate you guys watching.